I've been using Couches for about 2 years, and I started out with a simple piece of heavy canvas cloth from a fabric store. I moved on a year or a year and a half ago to a flax linen couch. I'm very happy with that choice because the flax performs better than the canvas. But I have both available on my website, and I'm going to tell you a bit about these couches, but I'm also going to show you how to condition and use a couch with this dough. First thing that you need to know about a flax couch is you should never wash it. If you were to wash a flax linen couch, you would get a very hard and difficult to handle piece of fabric. The problem here is that they come with a little bit of an odor. Many people are concerned about that odor getting into the bread. As it says here, the initial odor is harmless and won't affect your bread, and it goes away after time. The performance of both the linen couch and the cotton canvas couch improves with each use. That's because the flour works its way into the weave and becomes more of a releasing agent. When you're not using the couch, store it in a Ziploc bag. That keeps the bugs out of it. If dough sticks to this, what you do is you let the dough dry on the couch and take a dough scraper and scrape it off. If you were to find that you had a lot of excess flour on the couch, you can always take it outside on a dry day and give it a good shake. The couch should only be used with lean dough. And a lean dough would be a dough made primarily with flour, water, salt, and yeast without any fat-containing enriching agents like eggs or butter and so on. That's because these fat-based enrichments will find their way into the fabric, and the fabric will start to have an odor. So stick to lean breads with a couch. And the DVD that comes with the couch should be retained for future reference. You might wonder why I even have a cotton canvas couch. The reason is that some people cannot stand to not wash their baking tools. I believe it's perfectly safe not to, because you're going to put anything you would produce in a couch in a 400-degree oven to bake, so I wouldn't worry about bacteria from it. However, if you're a person who has to wash the couch, get a canvas one. When you wash the canvas couch, you'll have to press it with a very hot iron. There's a label on both the linen and the cotton canvas couch that is put on there for your convenience to remind you how to care for the couch. But if you are going to iron a cotton canvas couch, put that label down, otherwise it's liable to come off onto your iron. The cotton canvas couch has no odor, and just like the flax linen couch, store it in a Ziploc bag between uses if you're not going to launder it. Just like the flax linen couch, it will improve each time you use it between washings. So avoid washing if you can stand it, but if you have to, cotton is the way to go. And I'm going to prepare for its first use this flax linen couch. And we do that with flour by sprinkling flour onto the fabric and working it into the fabric. You're going to need to add flour to this couch every time you use it. You'll also find when you first start using it, it may stick a little bit, but if that happens, we'll show you what to do about that. And right where you're going to place the loaves, put a little final sprinkle. We're going to place the loaves of bread in the couch. Now, we're going to pick up a ridge of the fabric, scoot the ciabatta loaves together. This could be just a little bit longer. And bring the outside edge of the couch up and over. And what we've done here is we have created a trough for the dough to proof in. I'm going to let this rise for about 45 minutes. And I use a transfer board when I'm moving these onto the peel or onto the parchment paper. What we're going to do is we're going to roll the dough over onto its top, onto this board, and then we're going to use the board to transfer it back onto the paper. Now, in order to keep the board from sticking, we will rub a little flour onto it. You take your board, and your dough. Board next to the dough. We pick up the couche and roll the dough over onto the board. Now, if this sticks a little bit, don't panic. You just let the dough go on over onto your transfer board, and then as you pull back on the couche, use the dough scraper to release the dough. And we'll line our parchment paper up here. You want to work pretty close to the edge because you don't want these loaves to be touching when they bake, or they won't brown where they touch. So I'm just going to rotate this around. Make sure we got some good floured surface on this board. Pick up the edge of the couche. Roll the dough onto the board. This works great for baguettes, by the way. And you roll it back over. Now, you can actually use the tips of your finger or even the board to move this dough around a little bit if you need to. But it's pretty fragile right now, so I'm going to recommend that you avoid touching the dough any more than is just absolutely necessary.